ignorance is bliss. That's what they say, right? What you don't know can't hurt you. In fact, it might even sometimes make you a happier person. And in the case of driving the new Porsche Panamera 4SE Hybrid, I am definitely a happier person. And no, it's got nothing to do with the 530 plus horsepower or the fact that this new version of Porsche Panamera is no longer an Uggomobile. It's because of something you probably wouldn't expect from a Porsche of all cars. But let me explain. You know, there's a handful of things old people have done specifically to ruin some of my favorite things about Porsche. The new push to start button, you can blame old people for that. The digital gauge cluster, you can blame old people for that. Shit, I mean, just the size of the new 911, you could probably blame old people for that too. But there is one really cool feature that I must go out of my way to thank the Raisening retirees for, and that is Porsche's new active ride system. You gray-haired gooners really good with this one. But how does it work? On each corner of the car, you've got a hydraulic pump, a hydraulic damper, and an air spring, all working together to individually control each corner of the car. And then you combine that with the bazillion sensors in the car that's analyzing the road in real time and then adjusting these dampers on each corner of the car up to 13 times per second. So what that's doing from an experience standpoint is allowing the chassis to be completely undisturbed when going over crappy roads, as opposed to more so chassis-based dampening. It's really wheel-based dampening. But to simplify it, it's like as if your car suspension was comprised of 4 crackhead gymnasts on each corner hitting 13 backflips per second to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. It's so complicated that it barely makes sense, but it makes you feel good so you don't ask questions. Remember, the theme of this video is ignorance is bliss. But what's the catch? Well, firstly, this is not a standard option. It's an additional $7 grand and can only be had with the hybrid version of the Panamera because the hybrid system plays a part in powering active ride. And I'm not sure what the weight penalty is, but this is for sure making your car heavier. But the car already weighs over 5,000 pounds, so that's really a mute point. But my real suspicion is that down the line, active ride will not be favorable on lay pockets to repair out of warranty. This is an incredibly complicated system and is probably going to keep your Porsche service center fed for life once something eventually goes wrong with a system like this. I know that Porsche tech is going to be rubbing his hands together like Birdman once he sees one of these pull up to the service center. But in practice, this is the best riding car from the Volkswagen Group I've ever driven, and that includes the new Bentleys. And you guys know I glaze the new Bentleys all day long. But this Panamera with active ride specifically edges out the Continental and Flying Spur when it comes to shock absorption, especially. I can just fly over a pothole and I barely even notice it. In fact, I go out of my way to drive over potholes just so I can experience again and again how much the car smooths it out for me. It's that good. Look, I'm not from New Jersey, right? So when I first moved here, I realized a couple of things. I firstly realized that the world would be a much better place if all the roads were as smooth as the brains of Jersey drivers, including the roads here. The roads here suck. Honestly, most of the roads in the Northeast kind of suck outside of a few specific areas. And when commuting on a day-to-day basis and trying to do the matrix to avoid potholes and bumps and construction and all this sort of nonsense, it really can make your day just a little bit worse in combination with all of the smooth-brained Jersey drivers I just mentioned. But every drive I've done with this active ride system has just made the commute more enjoyable than it would be in any other car. Every piece of crappy tarmac I pass, the chassis is completely uninterrupted, and in the wise words of SZA, that's the way I like it. But this active ride system isn't just helping the Panamera with comfort, even though it does that very well, it's actually helping the Panamera with performance too. So let's do some performance things, right? We should probably do something like a launch control. That's something we tend to do on the Cars with Miles channel. All right, launch control time. It is 83 degrees. We are Pirelli P0 tires. I'm about a 3/4 tank full. The battery is half full. I don't know how that's going to affect performance, but Porsche claims this car will do a 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. I think we could probably match that or do maybe a 0.1 second quicker. So, see what we do. PDK super easy. Foot on the brake, foot on the throttle. Bam! Man, that PDK dump is just always gives it to you. So that was 0 to 60 in 3.71. Let's run that back. All right, this time we're gonna do it with PSM completely off. Woo! Yeah, that was quicker. The tires squeaked a little bit, but definitely quicker. All right, that was 0 to 60 in 3.53, according to the race box. That is what Porsche claims this car will do, but I want to see if we can do a little bit quick, just a little bit. All right, one more time. Woo! That was 0 to 60 in 3.47. We were slightly downhill on that one, but we'll run with it. 3.47, under 3.5. Either way, this car is plenty quick. I love the performance, and having the PDK especially really adds to the overall ability to launch this car like an absolute rocket. And you can just foot on brake, foot on throttle, let go, repeat the launch a billion times. Having PDK or a dual clutch in general in a performance car is just so crucial to how it differs from other cars. So I'm happy with these numbers for sure. So the ultimate active ride experience for comfort is having the chassis at normal height and the suspension in normal mode, but when you lower it and throw the chassis into sport suspension mode, it immediately becomes like a four-door McLaren with a BBL. Okay, I haven't used like a BBL joke in like 7 videos, so you gotta let me have this one. I'm spreading them out. But seriously, very much like a McLaren with their crazy hydraulic suspension system, active ride is keeping the body stable and the car absolutely planted in every corner and every bend. If someone said to me, hey, let's go rip my V6 Panamera in the canyons, I'd be like, okay, but meanwhile, I'm doing that right now, and I'm very happy to be doing so. And this is really just proof that you should never doubt Porsche. If anyone's gonna figure out how to make a 5,000-pound sedan absolutely rip on a back road, it's gonna be Porsche. They're absolute engineering gods. This thing's just so damn planted, man. I know it's very cliche to say, but the Panamera is getting closer and closer and driving very similarly to a 911 because of all the freaking tech that they're sardining into this car. I know a lot of people would prefer a much more pure tech-removed experience when it comes to driving a Porsche, but I'm a fan. I like the way this car drives. I like how well it does what it's setting out to do. Things I don't really like so much, the V6. Surprise, an Audi V6 is not really an emotional or exciting experience in a 5,000-pound sport/luxury sedan application. The cabin is so insulated and the exhaust is so quiet that you really don't hear that much of the engine or the exhaust in the first place. Apparently you can hear burbles from the outside, but what you do hear on the inside of the car is pretty uninteresting. But here's the saving grace of the V6 in this drivetrain. It's the hybrid system. The calibration of this hybrid system is so good. It makes the GT63 that I drove last week feel like a 3rd grade science project in comparison. The throttle response is so immediate and linear. It is truly an NA-like driving experience. No turbo lag. The seamlessness from electric power to V6 turbo power is just absolutely good. It is one of the best hybrid drivetrains out there right now as far as how it's calibrated. And despite the weight figures, the 530 horsepower actually feels like 530 horsepower. You've seen the 0 to 60. The numbers are not lying. From a standstill, it genuinely is exciting to punch it, and even at speed, it's a fast car. It's a fast car despite the weight. The 530 horsepower is real. And so you may be debating, like, which is the better car and more thrilling car overall? The GTS, which has 40 less horsepower but a twin-turbo V8, or the 4SE Hybrid, which has 40 more horsepower but a twin-turbo V6? Doesn't sound as good. Well, I haven't driven the GTS in Panamera form, although I have done it in the Cayenne and 911 at this point. I would probably lean towards the V8 as far as just the emotion of the experience, but if speed and efficiency are purely your focuses for a Panamera, the 4S Hybrid is the way to go. No doubt about it, it's just going to be the better car compared to the V8 GTS. And then, of course, the PDK, the dual clutch. It's as functional and sterile as it's ever been in a Panamera. And trust me, I would rather have this dual clutch in the Panamera than not have it. But my God, there's just like no personality in this version of PDK, and I know that because I've seen what Porsche can do with PDK when they want it to be genuinely emotional and exciting. And from a functionality standpoint, it's great, especially for launches. It just truly does the job you want it to do. But outside of shifting speed and technical ability, there really isn't anything fun about the DCT in this car. But like I said, I'd rather have it than not have it. I'm totally thankful we have PDK in the Panamera still. And that's going to be one of the things that separates this car from an Audi RS7 or the other cars it shares a platform with. But otherwise, this is another example of a really technically competent Porsche, a lean, mean, active riding machine. And not lean as in light, because this is not a light car. I'm talking about the other kind of lean, because that kind of lean makes your tummy big and heavy. Anyway, let's close this video out, shall we? If you want a more thorough deep dive on the interior experience of the new Panamera, I've already done a full review of the second cheapest and second slowest version of Panamera. But I must again reiterate, this car is awesome to live with. It's easily one of the best luxury sports sedans in its price point. It's comfy, spacious if you don't care about having a middle seat, and it's equipped with every tech feature you'd want minus self-driving. As far as competition, 130 grand also gets you a Mercedes-Benz S580e, which is also a hybrid 6-cylinder, but it's slower and not going to be nearly as fun to drive. That's much more luxury focused than a better mix of luxury and performance. Another alternative is getting one of the current champs of the Mobile League, the new 7 Series, which is a great car. But to get an overall experience that rivals the Panamera hybrid, you'd have to spend at least 160 grand, which is a tough ask for some. If I didn't care as much about exterior looks and handling performance, the 7 Series would be my choice for show, but since I do, the Panamera is my choice. The V8 engine I do miss, but the active ride system is truly bliss, and I really have to piss. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.